G'day guys, welcome to another episode of Try It Out Adventures. My name is Reese and welcome to another episode in the van build series. Today we are installing the ceiling on the van, so I'm going to head over to Bunnings and pick up some pine slats which I'm going to use for the job, and then we'll get straight into it. Alright, so my goal for today is to get the first ceiling panel on, just so that I can get that down the center of the roof, so I can install my 3 LEDs, and then tomorrow I can come back and continue to the left and right of center just to make sure everything is nice and even and parallel. My first job is to cut all the holes and make sure I measure up that central board and then get these LEDs plugged in. For this project I'm using 3 350 lumen ultra thin LED roof panel lights, which make it easier as I don't have to recess holes into the ceiling. Now, because this particular LED light has a push and twist system that locks in the LED to the ceiling, I may have to go ahead and adjust these particular screw heads just because I need to test out if it's going to fit in and twist and hold nice and firm. On this side, I could probably tighten that screw just a little bit more, just because it's got a little bit of a gap there. But those other two are flush with the ceiling. Love it. Day number 2, it's a hot one and it's time to do the wiring. Just to show you what I'm using here today, I have some 20mm conduit there on the right hand side. I have a T-bar here that I'll be able to use because I need to put a T in here for the water pump, my crimper, fuses, all my cabling, some connectors, some wire cutters, and also some electrical tape. So let's get started. What I'm gonna have to do is drill a hole down in the corner here going into the kitchen, and I'm gonna run conduit through there, through these cupboards and up the tall cabinet and over to the gang switch that will be mounted right here in the kitchen. Before I go ahead and feed all this, or attempt to feed all this cable wiring through the conduit, I just wanted to show you that I have marked these just so that I know on both sides what wire I'm working with and what appliance they go to. Now that everything has been threaded through the conduit, I'm going to go ahead and start wiring up. I just wanted to take you through a bit of a diagram of how I'm going to wire up these LEDs. What you have here, first of all, is the main line that I have run from the electrical compartment up the wall into the ceiling. You have your positive and your negative. Over here I have my DC fuse box. Here I have my switch panel, and then here you have your 3 LEDs that are on the ceiling. Now what I'm going to have to do first is, from this switch panel I have a negative line coming off of it. I'm going to use that negative line and I'm going to carry that around the cabinetry and to the fuse box. I'm going to have to bring the positive line from the main line all the way across and into the individual switch that is going to control the LEDs. And as you can see here, on the back of each switch you have 3 prongs. The top prong is the negative. The main line that is going across will go to the bottom one, which is the load/appliance. So that would be power going out and across, up the line and to the LEDs. I also then have to run a positive line all the way from the fuse box and pick a fuse. In this case, I'll be using a 5 amp fuse for these LEDs, run it across and into the switch panel. So that is power going from my battery source through this line and into the switch. And that goes in the middle prong. And then what I'm going to have to do in the ceiling is I'm going to have to bring the positive and the negative lines across to the first LED, and then I'm going to use connectors. So I'm going to have to bring the positive across to the positive of the first one, the negative to the negative, and then same thing over here, the positive to positive and negative to negative. Hopefully that explains it a little bit more and it puts it in a simple term with this diagram. I'm going to get started on the wiring, so let's get going. Okay, so what I have here is the main line that is running down the wall and into the electrical compartment that I have under the cabinets. What I'm going to do real quick is just crimp these, and then I'm going to connect them with one of these blue connectors that I showed you earlier, and I'm just going to connect the main line to the small side, and then I have to feed the first LED and then the line that's running to the second LED through the bigger side. Okay, so on this end I have my LED, that is the main line running from the ceiling. It is a double cable, so it's a positive and negative. I need to cut this open and get the positive from that and connect it to the single positive that runs to the switch. Remember, that is the appliance positive. And then I also have my double cable that is running from the switch, and I need to connect both the positive and the negative up to the DC fuse box. Pick a fuse slot for the positive and put a 5 amp fuse in there for the LEDs. Okay, so I'm going to connect these up. First, I'm going to connect the single positive lead that goes to the bottom prong on the switch, and that is what runs straight to the appliance. Then I have my positive and negative with my double cable, and the positive goes to the middle switch. That is the power running into the switch from the DC fuse box, and then the negative goes to the brass one on top, or the bronze colored blade. And as you can see, I've used all insulated blades just so that they don't touch each other and I don't cause any shortages. Let's go ahead and see if she works. Hey, we got LEDs. Third and hopefully the final day on this ceiling and lighting build. I've gone to Bunnings for the 400th time in this van series and picked up the remaining pine panels that will go on the ceiling. Before I get going on the easy work of just cutting and placing up lengths of timber, I need to do panels on either side of the roof vent and then place the roof vent trim up on the ceiling so that that looks nice and flush. So that'll take a little bit of measuring out and some fine cutting, but the rest of it should be pretty straightforward and hopefully it comes together really quickly. So let's get to it.
Alright, so the final thing I have to do is cut out these angles in the corner panels. They're the last 3 panels that need to go on the ceiling. The far left-hand side, or the front left-hand side of the van, was simple, as I was able to just use a straight piece because it went over the plastic. However, on the front right and the 2 rear panels in the corner, I have these obscure kind of curves, and these are just templates. So once again, like the cabinet episode, if you watch that, it is very, very smart to template first. So I'm gonna go ahead and template these out, test fit them, and then go ahead and cut the real pieces.
Alright guys, now that the pine panels are on the ceiling, I'm just about to head over to my uncle's. I have some cornicing that I just bought from Bunnings, and I'm going to be able to put that up on the edging so that I can make a nice connection from the wall to the ceiling itself. So I'm really excited to get that up there and make it look nice and whole. I'll get that stapled on, and then I'll show you the end results. Come on in and take a look. And that is it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found some tips in regards to some things you want to do in your ceiling in your van. It is very easy and anybody can do this task, trust me. And if you do like this content, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and you'll be able to see the rest of my van build. And then also when I get on the road and start doing all my camping and training for my triathlons, because that's going to be an awesome adventure too. So stick around, I'll see you next time. If you haven't seen my previous van build episodes, please go back onto my channel and look into the van build series, and you'll be able to see the rest of the content. And as always, get out there and try something new.